And now, live from Laurel, Maryland, USA, home of Daniel Pratt, winner of the 1980 American Crossword Puzzle Tournament, it's snack time.
I would never call my family white trash, but do I have a story that's fresh off the presses? In fact, when I heard the story from gossip through my mother, I just couldn't wait to lie down in bed and share this with you. Okay, let's just get into the story. It's a pretty good one. And by the way, can I start by saying I do not make up the stories on Snackboy. They're hardly even embellished. Seriously, everything that happens on Snackboy is a true story. It is not that any of them are so hard to believe, I don't think. It's just that I know we draw the pictures are fun, but these are true stories. And I'm even thinking coming up, if you all want, I could bring in real photographs of the actual people they happen to. But anyway, let's get to today's snack. Today's snack concerns my Aunt Taffy and her cousin Roberta. And let me give you some background first. Taffy and Roberta do not get along. Ever since, like, at the Christmas parties when I was a little kid, I remember how they would fight. They would get drunk, slowly. They'd have more and more beer, like at Thanksgiving or Christmas. And by the end of the night, what would happen was Roberta was so jealous of Taffy because she thought that her husband and Taffy were either having an affair or were one step away from having an affair, and she'd always keep one eye peeled very closely on him. So they would just get into like drag out screaming matches, and like one would burst out crying and grab her husband and her bratty kid and get in the car and drive away. So recently, cousin Roberta, who's been living out in the country outside of Virginia, well, the home right behind her home, the people moved out. So now they've got an empty house. Well, meanwhile, Aunt Taffy loses her job at National Geographic, and she needs a place to stay. And of all the hundreds and thousands of empty apartments and houses in the world, Aunt Taffy, for some stupid reason, decides, no offense, Aunt Taffy, if you watch this, for some stupid-ass reason, decides to move in to the vacant house right behind Roberta. And this is the country. It's not like there are a lot of houses about. How can you live in a house behind someone and not want them to know? That's right. But Snackboy, of course they don't care if they know. They did care if they knew, and this is what's going on. When Aunt Taffy and her family, they've got a little girl, moved into that empty house, they did their best to, instead of let Roberta know, to hide. When they let the little girl out to play, they'd be like, honey, when you go out to play, you got to play behind the pine tree. You got to go behind the big pine tree. They even built her a little swing set behind the pine tree so that Roberta and the other house wouldn't see that they lived there. So, I mean, this little girl has no idea why she can only play behind the pine tree. And here's where it gets worse. Everyone started to come over and bring her little housewarming gifts. Oh, hey, Taffy, we just dropped in to bring you a little warm dish. All the cousins, all the relatives be like, look at this place. Yeah, we love what you did with it. But none of them, they were all sworn to secrecy. Aunt Taffy was like, look, none of you better say nothing to Roberta. Nobody can say nothing to Roberta that I live right behind her. I do not want her to know that I live here. So everyone was sworn to secrecy. Oh, we promise we won't say nothing, Taffy. We won't say nothing. So things were going so well. Almost 6 months go by, and Aunt Roberta has no idea that Taffy is living behind her. And then at the parties, they would even get in the window, and they would look out the window, and they'd have binoculars, and all the aunts, like all the sisters, would actually spy on Roberta's house. That's how bad it got. So they'd be like creeping out, and they'd be looking just very much like Gladys Kravitz on Bewitched, and be like, I see her. Oh, Lordy, look at her. There she is. Looks like she's cleaning the kitchen. Oh, Lord, if she finds out that we moved in here, she's going to kick some butt. Well, let me tell you about the day that it happened. The cute little blonde daughter, I can't remember her name. She's like a second cousin. She's out playing, and she forgets to play behind the pine tree. That's right. The little tyke gets on her little bicycle, and instead of being behind the pine tree, she rides around the hedges up the street. Well, it's just like a scene from Jaws. When they look out on the beach and see all the people running out of the water, Aunt Taffy looks out the window, sees her little girl going up the street toward Aunt Roberta's house, and she freaks out. And I picture it being like slow motion. She opens the front door, and she can't scream because she doesn't want Roberta to hear. She's like, let's say the little girl's name is Susanna. Get back here. So she runs around the pine tree, and she grabs for the little girl, but the little girl's pedaling too fast.
Susanna, you turn your ass around. You get back here, Susanna.
And the girl's like, wee, you know, it's innocent as can be, and she's pedaling right toward Roberta's front door. And Roberta opens the front door, and just as she's stepping onto the front porch, Aunt Taffy grabs the little blonde girl and yanks her behind a hedge. This is a true story. She literally yanks her behind the hedge and like covers the little girl's mouth, and she's like,
you just shut up, Susanna. You just be quiet, honey. Shh.
And around the corner comes Aunt Roberta in all her feathered glory, and she says, what the hell is going on here? What the hell are you doing here? What are you doing coming out of that empty house? And of course, Aunt Taffy had to let in, and she was like, well, we sort of kind of moved in, you know, and of course she has lost it. She's like, how dare you? You stay away from my husband, you adulterous, fornicating woman with a Bible. May I open? She ran in the house, grabbed her Bible, and ran back outside, and she said, the Beelzebub, the devil, is going to have his day in court with you and your trashy ways.